Wombijaka. I also would like to acknowledge the elders past and present of the Kulin Nation of these lands where we're meeting today. Thank you for having me as your guest speaker. This slide is just something about the technical terms. I don't want you to get hung up on technical terms, please. I would like you to listen to me, but some of the technical terms are there for explanation. I would rather you come on a journey into biological and regenerative agriculture, where we can grow the best crops without poisoning the soil, the biota, and our future. Industrial hemp is just the plant to show a transition to sustainable agriculture. As an emerging cropping plant in Australia, we can grow the industry in the regenerative agriculture paradigm. But how do we do that? We must consider the soil. Healthy soil promotes all life on Earth. All the microbes are present in healthy soil and the nutrients to plants. Microbes drive the available chemistry to plants through mineralization, not the other way around. Imagine if we consider the biomass below the ground as a potential carbon sink, as well as the photosynthetic biomass. Imagine if we allow the mycorrhizal fungal biomass to sequester carbon below the ground. If we considered mycorrhizal fungi as the next biofertilizer for sustainable agriculture, we could minimize or eliminate the need for synthetic chemistry by concentrating on plant health, knowing that the outcome is plant health and human and animal gut health. Soils would be fungal dominated, as in perennial grasslands and forest ecosystems. Bacterial domination and loss of soil health and resilience occurs in industrial ploughed soils. Industrial hemp grown in a mycorrhizal-rich soil will improve the soil structure, enable the hemp plants to utilize mineral elements such as phosphorus and nitrogen more efficiently, increase carbon capture by increasing the photosynthetic capacity of the plant through significantly increased radial colonization of the root environment. Meta-analysis on the effect of drought on mycorrhizal fungi and plants found that plants with a strong mycorrhizal association grew larger than those with a depleted mycorrhizal association. I want you to hold that thought. Mycorrhizal fungi used as a biofertilizer may open up new strategies to support agriculture and increase global food safety. Given that Australia is already the driest continent on planet Earth, we need to consider growing our crops so that the warming temperature does not impact on our productivity. Farming hemp with a strong mycorrhizal association will allow the natural plasticity of hemp to survive strongly under possible increasingly hostile environmental conditions. Glomelin, the glycoprotein, it's a combined carbohydrate and protein of mycorrhizal fungi, hold about one third of the Earth's stored carbon. The soil, organic matter, glomelin sponge increases the water holding capacity of soil. The increased organic matter buffers against rapid chemical change, such as from lime and fertilizers. By comparison, humus, which is a stable breakdown product of organic decomposition, holds about 8% of the stored carbon. 80% of that humus material complex are stable polymers of carbohydrates. This persistent soil carbon fraction can store carbon for 25 to 1,000 years, and some soils have been dated around 20,000 years. Interestingly, the higher carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere stimulate fungi to produce more glomelin. I want you to think about that as well. Multi-year studies out to 2050 suggest that carbon dioxide could reach 670 parts per million from the level now around 416 parts per million. In that scenario, mycorrhizal fungal hyphae biomass could be 3 times longer and 5 times more carbon, or glomelin, hold 5 times more glomelin. More hyphae and more glomelin biomass help plants to access water and nutrients, helping plants cope with drought in the warming climate. Managing soil biologically makes more sense than pushing our existence to the extreme. Mycorrhizal fungi could be plan B. Let us accept that we are entering sustained climate change and temperatures will continue to rise with rain events more ferocious and unpredictable. These extremes are not new for Mother Earth, but they are new for the human species. Earth has her strategies in place. Diversity of vegetation, so there is always 100% cover 100% of the time. Organic matter recycles through the ecosystem. Photosynthesis leads to greater plant root exudates moving into the rhizosphere and the mycorrhizosphere, which is a highly microbial active site around plant roots full of mycorrhizal fungal biomass, linking plant roots through a superhighway of microbial activity. This area is full of plant exudates and polysaccharides and glues that produce a stable soil texture for air and water movement, foods for earthworms, arthropods, and microbes. The increased growth of grasses, though hemp is technically a nut, I found out, conferred from a fungal symbionts, is greatest in lowest water moisture levels. Hold that thought also. A microbially active soil with a good ground cover can moderate soil temperatures. Evaporation losses are reduced, erosion is reduced, decomposition and mineralization of organic matter into inorganic plant-available forms supply nutrients, especially nitrogen, through increased protozoa activity. Nitrogen-fixing rhizobia are increased, and cations are held in the highly cationic exchange capacity of this type of soil. Using arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi as biofertilizers enables plants to use mineral elements such as nitrogen and phosphorus effectively, in addition to an improvement in the plant nutrition. The arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi play an important role in improving soil structure, fertility, and heavy metal remediation. Arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi can be used as a potential biofertilizer for controlling environmental stress and may open new strategies to support agriculture and increasing global food safety. In other words, we can farm our soil, and industrial hemp could be one of those leading crops. Let us compare growing industrial hemp regeneratively with using conventional agricultural practices. Conventional agriculture is based on ploughing or no-till with glyphosate, fertilizers, herbicides, fungicides, and pesticides. Some of the no-till herbicide systems are a little less damaging, but still have a negative impact on soil biota. As supply chains break down and chemicals become more expensive, and land becomes increasingly degraded as a result of these exploitative practices, farmers will be looking for sustainable alternatives. We have them already: biological farming, regenerative farming, and hemp. 1 acre of industrial hemp absorbs around 22 tons of carbon dioxide per hectare. Its rapid growth rate makes it more efficient than agroforestry as one of the fastest carbon dioxide to biomass conversion tools available in agriculture. But this is the aerial synthetic part of the plant. If one then considers the roots, every hectare of industrial hemp could store 5 to 7 tons of carbon in the soil, translating to 17.5 to 26 tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere per hectare. Cambridge research suggests that a hectare of hemp can absorb between 8 to 15 tons of carbon dioxide, compared with forests at 2 to 6 tons. And this is considering just the photosynthetic leaf part manufactured into a product. No-till and minimal-till pasture cropping still releases carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, but far less than ploughing, which releases around 1.4 to 3.5 tons of carbon dioxide to the environment annually each time the soil is disturbed. Ploughing is totally destructive to all components of the soil and soil biota. If we're considering carbon capture, then it will be more effective not to plough, and to develop efficient no-till practices that would not require synthetic chemicals such as glyphosate to produce a crop of industrial hemp. Also growing hemp into pasture or into some low-growing plant so that the net CO2 is worthwhile and not lost again through ploughing and must be considered when calculating carbon capture. Industrial hemp, along with bamboo, is among the first growing plants used for fibre globally for more than 50,000 years. More than 25,000 products are made from hemp. It is one of the most versatile crops in the world. Incidentally, Henry Ford built a car from industrial hemp in 1941, so nothing you do is new. Natural fibres such as hemp, jute, cotton are renewable and degradable resources with no chemical byproducts. These are replaced only in the 20th century by plastics made from fossil fuels with dangerous chemical byproducts. The age of fossil fuel from the ground and its associated byproducts is on a decline. It is no longer sustainable. The CO2 generated needs to be captured and returned to the soil. Now let us consider hemp as a bioremediator. Many papers in the last couple of years consider hemp as a useful bioremediator. Cadmium and zinc are two major elements in most contaminated soils. Poor quality phosphate fertilizers, mining, and industrial activities expose agricultural land plants to increasing levels of heavy metals. In some parts of the world, heavy metal polluted agricultural soils cannot be used now safely for edible crop production because of risks to human and animal health. Only inedible plant production is possible in these areas. Heavy metals affect hemp crop growth and yield through a negative impact on photosynthesis and root growth, which alters the water balance and nutrient assimilation. Despite these issues, industrial hemp is a multi-purpose crop which could be used for cleansing soils. When photosynthesis is not working efficiently, plants need to upregulate metabolic pathways such as glycolysis and the TCA cycle to maintain normal growth and development and sustain defense strategies. Upregulation of these cycles may help the stressed plant compensate for a high energy demand of, for example, a cadmium-challenged plant cell. Meta-analyses show that nitrogen deposition from synthetic chemistry has the greatest negative effect on mycorrhizal symbiosis, leading to plant stress. But many defense strategies actually depend on nitrogen and metabolism. Heavy metal exposure severely hampers nitrogen metabolism by reducing nitrate uptake. But how can a hemp plant be assisted to function as a better bioremediator? Silica is considered a useful beneficial to plants under stress conditions. Hemp can absorb silica through nutrient solutions and translocate the silica to aerial parts of the plant. It has been demonstrated that cadmium and zinc-affected plants accumulate more silica than control plants exposed to silica alone. So in the cadmium silica plants, the silica is accumulated in the leaves. In the zinc silica plants, it's accumulated in their roots. This is seen as an attempt by the plant to improve stress tolerance. Hemp grown in contaminated sites as a bioremediator might not be grown specifically for quality or biomass, as in a normal agricultural situation. So loss of quality is not as important because the resulting crops could be distilled into biofuel, releasing valuable food crops such as wheat, corn, sugar beet, and sugarcane back into mainstream human and animal consumption. Let us consider hemp as a building material. Hemp as a building material could largely replace timber, is environmentally friendly, is lightweight, is mold resistant. It can be used as concrete or as an insulator and made into building panels. Hemp grown as a remediation crop on contaminated soil could be first used as a building product. As a crop cleans the soil, this soil, if originally agricultural, might be brought back into useful agricultural production for food. If we make regenerative agriculture the paradigm by which we grow industrial hemp in Australia, then we will be building in a ground cover 100% of the time. That way we will develop a generous mycorrhizal biomass that will store huge amounts of carbon. This Rhizotron experiment showed that by adding just 25% of high-quality compost to a totally broken agricultural soil resulted in a 110% increase in germination of the seeds with increased photosynthetic leaf and greater mycorrhizal capacity on the greater volume of the roots. The fungal to bacterial ratio moved to fungal domination needed for healthy plant growth. We will have a highly active and diverse soil microbiological population that will mineralize increasing amounts of organic carbon through the labile phase into the recalcitrant phase of the storage of CO2 into the future. Interestingly, as CO2 increases in the atmosphere, mycorrhizal fungi are stimulated to produce more glomalin. More fungal biomass, more glomalin, means more water holding capacity and more resilience in the face of a warming climate. With 100% cover concept, this means that soils are kept cooler with less water evaporation. The soil microbes are more diverse and active, so in regions with less rainfall, the potential for sustained plant growth is now possible because of the combined asset that we have established in our agricultural soils, mycorrhizal fungi and its exudate glomalin. We can cool the soil, increase mineralization and capture carbon. We can grow industrial hemp on contaminated soil with the help of soil biota. Heavy metal recovery from contaminated sites, and more importantly, from damaged agricultural land, will have a minor effect on the hemp plant. But if the plants grown on contaminated sites can be used for building materials and for biofuel, then we have released millions of tons of animal and human plants back into the economy for feeding an estimated 9 billion people we are told to expect in the near future. This means less rainforests being cut down because present production comes back to feeding people and animals. Plants have adaptation mechanisms to deal with contamination of all sorts. Research shows that silica helps plants to upregulate different biochemical pathways to deal with stress, whether it's from climate or heavy metals. Silica is the 502 in the biodynamic protocol, so we already have the product to incorporate into our regenerative system to aid with stress mitigation. This plant material then becomes building materials, leading to protection of sand reserves currently being mined in our fragile and threatened ecosystems here in Victoria. Incorporating silica into the planting regimes means greater protection for plants under stress in countries where agricultural systems are under stress from reduced rainfall and soil contamination from synthetic chemicals. Healthy soil leads to healthy plants that do not need synthetic chemicals or toxic herbicides, fungicides, and pesticides. Insects and disease organisms do not attack healthy plants. We can recover contaminated mine sites and bring damaged, broken soil back into productivity with an industrial hemp plant. We can sequester more carbon and regenerative agriculture methods, more carbon with regenerative agriculture methods than with conventional industrial agriculture. We can build houses that are healthy for people to live in. We can begin to recover agricultural land and clean the environment so that we can be proud of our legacy to future generations. Industrial hemp is a plant that can do all the things if we consider life in the soil as the only chance that we have of life on this planet in the future. As farmers, we must also be responsible global citizens. Thank you. I have a laboratory where I have I have a couple of permanent staff, but I have up to 5 part-time staff. We are one of the only laboratories in Australia that have access to an international database that quantifies the various components of the soil that are considered important in their balance and their diversity for healthy soil. And I'm talking about totally non-synthetic agriculture. I don't work with people who use pesticides, herbicides, etc. And so we have a method of giving through our laboratory testing of giving a farmer the biology in their soil, and then a program that entails fish and kelp and molasses and compost and maybe rock dust. I like paramagnetic rock dust, of how to build up, actually become not a farmer of whatever it is that they think they're farming above the soil, but to become a farmer of the soil. And when you're a farmer of the soil, Mother Nature will allow you to grow anything you like above the ground, as long as you show respect and you work with the seasons, you work with the plant. You don't need herbicides, pesticides, because a healthy plant that has a high sugar carbohydrate, pests and diseases don't attack it anyway. So it's all about being a soil farmer and being respectful to Mother Earth. And so that's what we do in our particular laboratory. We run workshops, weekend workshops every 2 months. The next one, well, I'd advertise. The next one's, I think, the 3rd and 4th of March. Yep. I already have someone from Illinois coming into this workshop.
Can we do it by Zoom, Mary, or not?
No, it's a hand-on. It's got to be hands-on. Because Elaine Ingham, who's a great friend of mine, she does a lot of online things. It's all good to do online.
Yeah.
But if you don't have your hands and your feet wet and dirty and cold and actually build the compost pile and make the compost tea, you don't actually appreciate what it's about. You've got to actually touch the soil. Live microbiology. And when you make a compost tea, you put it out immediately. I'm always a little bit suspicious when I go to a market and I see somebody's got this bottle of compost tea, these are all aerobic, basically aerobic, very few anaerobic microbes in there, and it's in a bottle with no oxygen. What you're doing is you're buying basically a nice expensive molasses solution. Right. Compost tea is best made on site or nearby the site and used immediately. Our farm doesn't have any capeweed. We have no capeweed on our farm. The vineyard north of us, he hasn't got any capeweed because he uses compost tea. He's changed the biological dynamics to a fungal dominated. As soon as you have a fungal dominated environment, you don't have weeds. Right. And those weeds are actually primary colonizers. They're indicators of something wrong with your soil. So I don't use the word weed, I use a primary colonizer and work out why that particular primary colonizer is there. It's telling you that something is out of balance in your soil. Look at what is out of balance and fix that up. Go back to the source.